I started the recording.
Thanks, Dan.
We have 7 attendees at this time.
All right. Hi, everyone. Just give it 15 more seconds and we'll get started. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Okay. So hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Veldhaus, and I'm the current chair of the Iowa Hunger Coalition. We are a statewide membership-based organization that advocates for anti-hunger issues at the state level with a focus on root causes of food insecurity and the priorities of Iowans experiencing hunger. We do this by lobbying on bills impacting SNAP and food pantries in Iowa. We send out action alerts and connect advocates with opportunities to contact their legislator or speak at a subcommittee meeting. And we also build relationships with pantries and Iowans experiencing hunger across the state to inform our advocacy. So the reason we're here today is to learn about the recently passed sales tax exemption for food pantries, food banks, and other hunger fighting organizations. Many organizations helped make sure this legislation was passed, including the Iowa Food Bank Association, United Way of Central Iowa, DMARC, the Iowa Hunger Coalition, the Iowa Catholic Conference, among others. So thank you to all those advocates that got those passed. So thank you all for being here. And I just wanted to note that this meeting is being recorded, so you can access it afterward and we can share it with folks who are unable to make it. And please feel free to use the Q&A function to enter your questions instead of the chat function. And we will get to all the questions at the end. So now I will hand it over to Luke, who is also on the board of the Iowa Hunger Coalition with DMARC.
Thanks, Natalie. I'm Luke Elzinga, Communications and Advocacy Manager at the DMARC Food Pantry Network in Des Moines. And like Natalie said, I serve on the board of the Iowa Hunger Coalition. I'm actually going to turn things over now to Cindy Peterson, the contract lobbyist of the Iowa Hunger Coalition. We've been working with John and Cindy for a couple of years now, and they've done some great work. So Cindy's going to talk just a bit about the background of the sales tax exemption bill and how it was passed.
Hello. As you all know, this has been a multi-year project, and we're very proud. We finally got the attention last year and got them to understand that a simple task for them would result in 1.3 million more meals for Iowans. So it wasn't easy, and it got a little contentious up there, but we got it done, and that's great. I'm not sure how many of you have utilized this tax exemption factor yet, but we kind of wanted to clear the air a little bit about some ideas and frustrations maybe you may have had. Luke is going to share, there's a form that you fill out, and I'm sure you've probably experienced some of this with other things you have done, but all you need to do is fill out this form when you're going to purchase something that normally would charge you tax on. And we're talking about your non-perishable products and like freezers or any kind of equipment that a retailer would be charging you tax on. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You enter all this information in. When you get down to something that doesn't make sense for your organization, I want you to click Other. If you have a tax permit, I don't know that you're necessarily qualified as a retailer, so I don't think you need to put that in there, but just click Other. And then claiming exemption for the following reason. And down here, you can also click Other and write per legislation on sales tax exemption for nonprofit food banks. You could write that in there, in food banks and pantries. And then just describe what you purchased and sign it. And you keep this for your file, and the seller has to keep this on their file, and they should be used to that because all these other people are getting these tax exemptions, so it shouldn't be any big news thing to them. Has anyone tried to use this permit or tried to go in and get a tax exempt purchase yet? Because it was effective as of July 1st last year in the new fiscal year.
I know DMARC has, and Matt will be sharing a little bit about how we've done that in just a minute. But yeah, if other organizations have, please share that in the chat.
You know, I think it was a great success to finally get this done. I think they finally got their backs against the wall with us hammering them, and it'll be interesting if we can collect the data to see how much this helps your individual organizations. And I don't know if there's a movement to make that happen, but we would like to at some point report what this bill did in respect to more opportunities for you to provide food for people. So I don't know if that's in the future, but it's always good. A couple years down the road, they'll come back and ask, well, how did that work for you guys? And to be able to pull that data out would be real important.
Luke, I was wondering, someone entered in the chat, would we be able to make this form a little bigger? I think there's like a Zoom thing at the top. Thank you.
There you go.
And I can post the link to the form in the chat as well, so people can bring that up on their own computers.
Yeah, that'll be good. It's kind of hard to navigate the Department of Revenue's website and all these various forms and stuff. So to put that out on, our website and get it out there, that will be, I think, appreciated.
All right, anything else, Cindy?
Nope. We're, happy to have brought this to you and hope that you will see some great income coming off of this to allow you to buy more food and stuff for your clients. So, redistricting will be happening. So, things will be changing in your area, but it wouldn't hurt to send your legislator a thank you and explain how important this is to your organization and how it will feed more people. So I just encourage you all to get to know your legislator, no matter if it's on this issue or any upcoming issues. We have more things we're dealing with this year. There's always going to be an issue that's going to impact your organization and business. So it's real important that you get to know your legislator on a name by name basis. And when they see you, I want them to immediately think, oh, they're from a food pantry or they're from a food bank, because you're their boss and they work for you. And if they're not doing their job, you have the opportunity to change that situation. So they know that, and but it's your job to let them know that you're watching. So I encourage you all to get to know your legislator, go to their coffees, call them up, ask them to come to your food bank, come to your pantry and see what's happening. There's lots of opportunities to get to know them. And I will tell you that after this session with redistricting that just happened, there's a highly likely scenario that your legislator, your senator, or your representative, and I'm talking about the Iowa consortium here, may be different, because there have been they do this every 10 years. They restructure the state, and it starts with federal, and then it comes down to House and Senate seats. And so our federal members have changed districts too, which you will probably have heard in the news. And so your congressional district may have changed a little bit as well, but it's important to know them, but it's also important to know your Iowa senator and representative. So I really encourage you to reach out. What you do is an important thing to their district, and they need to be reminded of that. Any questions for me? If you're ever at the Capitol, look us up. We're there every day, so hunt us down and we'd be happy to show you the process and see what's going on there. So don't be shy about finding us. Ask around, people will know who we are. So.
All right, thank you so much, Cindy, and thank you for all the hard work that you and John did making sure that this got passed the last session.
Happy to help.
All right, so very quickly, I'm just going to bring up the bill language because I wanted to talk through kind of the definition. Some people may not realize that they actually fall under the definition here of what a quote unquote nonprofit food bank is. So this is the bill language here. I will try to make this a little bigger. So the way that the bill defines a nonprofit food bank is an organization organized under Chapter 504, which just means that you're a nonprofit business entity in the state, and qualifying under Section 501c3. So you have your 501c3 status. So basically a nonprofit organization that maintains an established operation involving the provision of food or edible commodities or the products thereof on a regular basis to persons in need, or to food pantries, soup kitchens, hunger relief centers, or other food or feeding centers that as an integral part of their normal activities provide meals or food on a regular basis to people in need. So essentially, if you have an established operation at your nonprofit that is providing food to people in need, or providing food to an organization that is then providing that food to people in need, you qualify as a quote unquote nonprofit food bank in the state of Iowa. So that's obviously food banks, food pantries, other anti-hunger organizations. As long as you meet that definition, that's what the bill language says. So now I want to turn it over to Matt Unger from DMARC. And Matt, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and just share a little bit about how DMARC has benefited from the sales tax exemption.
Sure. So hello, everyone. My name is Matt Unger. I'm the CEO here at DMARC. And the biggest piece of what we do here is a 14 food pantry network across the metropolitan area here in Des Moines, and another 30 plus sites that we provide assistance to through a mobile program, 3 mobile units that we move around town to areas where there isn't great pantry service. So definitely fit that definition of what a Iowa food bank is. And through the course of trying to get this legislation passed, we kept making the case about how much this could really save to put money towards meeting our mission, particularly because the state's not putting a lot of money behind organizations like ours and probably like most of yours to help along with that work. So this was an easy, tangible way that the state could have some skin in the game. Cindy pulled up and showed you the form that you have to fill out. And what we've done at DMARC is kind of put together a kit of sorts to make it real easy for folks. Now, you don't have to provide really anything other than that certificate, which here's another shot of that. And what we've done is gone ahead and kind of pre-populated some of the parts in our form so that any of our staff members who do business with vendors can then kind of fill in the other pieces of it. But the stuff that's always going to be the same, we've got on there and just have it done in a permanent sort of way. So that's one way to just kind of give yourself a leg up and be ready for things. There is another form if you go on the hunt in the Department of Revenue website that kind of gives you some instructions about sort of how to fill out the form, what is expected. And so it just kind of walks through step by step. So if you're running into some questions you have, or you're not quite sure what they mean by that part, this kind of helps explain some of that. And then there's an FAQ. It's just another resource that might help you as you're filling out your form. So that's something I share with all of our team here too. So we have the form that you fill out, and then the explanation of how you go about filling that out. The other piece that we provide, and again, this is not something you have to do, but it helps get them to yes quicker, because a lot of vendors won't be familiar with organizations like yours or like ours being eligible for sales tax exemptions in this way. So we include a couple other things. Part of it is the bill language, and we do sort of an abbreviated version of it. And I make sure that we included the transmittal letter. And for those of you that aren't into the capital lingo. When the governor signs a bill, it comes from the Secretary of State, and then it goes back and gets enrolled into the process, and there's a whole system by which that happens. And part of that is the governor needs to write a letter to the Secretary of State saying, here's this bill, I signed it, here's what it does, make it good. So we include that letter, which includes the governor's signature, which I think is helpful towards showing sort of the gravity of, oh yeah, this is for real, they're not messing around. Also, we include the portion, come on, slide for me, there we go. The portion that explains sort of what the bill is, and then that piece that really shows, okay, here are the groups, and we highlight it. This isn't for the presentation, this is what we send them. A highlighted part about here's what food banks are and here's what the exemption is. So we have that. We have the form we filled out. And then one other thing that we include is our 501c3 determination letter, just so they see, okay, this is in fact a qualified C3 organization. And really our aim is just to eliminate any of the questions they're going to ask. Well, okay, do you fit this? Do you fit this? Make it real easy to get them to yes. This is just our whole goal with it. So when I've talked with other organizations who have had some trouble getting vendors to maybe buy into what is this? I don't know that you're eligible for it. I've tried to share, here's our approach. We haven't had a single vendor that has turned us down. We've probably done this with over 50 vendors, I think now, that we are no longer paying sales taxes to. Makes a really big difference, particularly on some of the larger purchases. And things like our truck leasing and some of those things, that it allows that money to go back into meeting our mission. And if anyone if you pick up and make a kit like this and you're running into issues with a vendor that won't work with you on it, get in touch with us. We'd be happy to try and help you through it. One other tip I would add is pick up the phone and try to talk to someone in the accounting department, wherever it is that you're trying to get this done. You can follow up an email with all the documents, but I think a lot of times, sometimes people just send the email and think it's going to get it done, and maybe it gets routed to the right person, maybe it doesn't. I would try to have a live conversation with someone. It'll just make it that much easier to get it implemented and get things going for you to get this tax exemption done. So that's sort of the quick hints and kit that we've put together. If there's questions at the end, happy to take those and answer those. But otherwise, Luke, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, and actually, we are kind of at that point for questions. I assume that this webinar would be pretty quick and straightforward. I did see a question that I think was answered, but just want to make sure we're answering it here for the recording. That said there was not a box on that form specifically for nonprofit food banks. So what should folks do there?
And that's where Cindy had mentioned, and what we do, for now, you just check that other box. It'll probably be a while before they redo these forms. Government forms are notoriously slow at updating. That's why they include boxes that say other in all these categories. But if you check that other and then you back it up with your C3, you back it up with the definition of what a food bank is, you should be good to go.
And then your description of what you're buying down below on that form helps as well. So there's the tax credits for the state of Iowa changed so much with all industries that they're just really hesitant to make changes. So don't wait for that.
And then there was another question about, can you share samples of the complete packet that you give with the official form? Obviously I think the determination letter will be specific to your organization, but we can make sure that we send out that bill language with the highlighted portion and that form to all the participants today. Are there any other questions? Well, hopefully all your questions that you might have had got answered. And so I will kind of turn it over to Natalie to close us up today.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you, Matt, John, and Cindy for your insights on this. If you're interested in learning more about the Hunger Coalition, you can visit our website at iowahungercoalition.com.org. Just kidding. Where you can sign up for our newsletters that include action alerts. You can like us on Facebook or email us at the Iowa Hunger Coalition at gmail.com.
Natalie,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is Dan. We do have a question that's coming through the chat. Will there be a sunset date on this, is the question.
No, not right now. That was not part of the bill, so it's in Iowa code, so it's the law.
One other piece I would add too is once you get one of those forms filled out and you have an agreement with that vendor that you do not have to pay sales tax, that's good for 3 years. So every 3 years you'll have to kind of re-up that, and some vendors may ask you to do it more frequently than that, but know that it's supposed to be good for 3 years.
Thank you. Also, hi, Angie. I worked at her food pantry. So thank you so much for joining us today. And at the Iowa Hunger Coalition, we really enjoy, and I guess enjoy is the right word, enjoy and value your feedback. So I'm asking if you would just take a moment to fill out a very brief survey about whether this was helpful to you. And there's also a space where you can suggest future webinar topics that would be helpful to you and your organization. So just let us know, like, if this was the worst webinar you've ever been on. We want to know that, and we want to make them better. So I am tossing that in the chat. So please, if you have a moment, fill that out. And otherwise, I think we'll send it with some follow-up materials. But I hope that this was useful for everyone. And I hope everyone is able to stay safe with the blustery, weird weather that we're having right now. So thank you. Let's see. Is there a hunger day on the Hill? Luke, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll just quick say that we're working on kind of a day of action. So part of that may be having folks up on the Hill, but we really want to make it accessible to anyone, no matter where they are in the state. So we'll be doing kind of a webinar in the morning with some follow-up action items that people can take throughout the day, and we're still nailing down a date there. But yes, if you'd like to stay involved, as Natalie said, visit our website to kind of get those email updates. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you all for attending, and feel free to follow up with any questions.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Okay, we're all done.